Let's talk about my altcoin portfolio as it's doing great and it's time for an update. We need to know how much we are up, technically how much we are down, and what we can expect going forward in this year. Let's start and let's have an update on my altcoin portfolio. OKX is the first crypto exchange to get the MiCA license in Europe. To celebrate this milestone, they are running a campaign for new users where you can get up to 50 euros back in Bitcoin for relatively simple tasks. You can check the details in the link below. On top of that, they also have the lowest fees and publish their proof of reserves, so you know your money is safe. If you're still looking for a crypto exchange, sign up to OKX to receive the welcome bonus and start trading with the lowest fees. Before we continue, there are two important things that I would like to share with you. My voice isn't gone because of the markets. It is something we call hay fever, which is if the weather starts to become slightly better in the Netherlands, some people are facing some issues, and in this case, my voice is just gone. Secondly, this video has been made on Friday morning. I'm currently in Bucharest, where we are having a conference. So given the volatility of the markets, my portfolio can be down way more or we can be back up, but just so you know. The focus of my channel is the altcoin portfolio and the journey that I have, the risks that I take, the steps that I take. That's why I'd like to take you through all the decisions that we've made until now and the decisions that we're going to be making in the future. So I thought, okay, let's make a video where we just cover everything of the past year. And then at the end of the video, I explain which shift I make in my altcoin portfolio. So where did we start? First, in a video on the 6th of June, I explained that I went all in into altcoins and I went more into riskier assets. My theory is that if this is the final easy bull cycle, well, not easy, but if this is the final bull cycle, then you want to be more risk on, because being more risk on and having the knowledge that I have, it's yielding me a higher return, which I do not believe I will be making after that. So that's why I swapped it into newer assets and into more riskier assets. And I composed a portfolio of a maximum of 8 coins, which I completely focus on. I'd rather want to have 8 coins than that I'm going to have 40 coins. So that came to the following portfolio, which is 4 bigger ones, 4 smaller ones. Optimism, ENS, Ethereum Name Services, Celestia or TIA, Bitensor, which is Tau, and then the smaller ones are Omni, Renzo, Rocket Pool or RPL, and AEVO, whatever it is. I've been using the weeks prior to that video to accumulate the positions, and I'm having bigger positions in the larger ones and smaller positions in the smaller ones, which means that let's use a hypothetical valuation of 15k in the bigger ones and 10k in the smaller ones, composing a total of 100k in that portfolio. I use a hypothetical valuation because I don't need to share my exact size of my portfolio, and in this way we can still track the actual return. Now, where did we buy those? If we look at Optimism, we can see that during that period we had a downfall. So I actually accumulated them over the weeks. Same goes for Tau. The other part is that ENS, I accumulated a lot and it started to rally up. So my averages went up during the actual accumulation. But it all comes into different outcomes. And the average is composed of those 3 weeks, through which we can summarize and average them out, which is Optimism. I've bought at an average of $2.25, which is $15,000. ENS, I've bought at an average of 18 bucks, coming to a total of 15k as well. Tau, $410, 15k. Celestia, $10 for 15k. And then we get into the most funny part, which is the smaller coins. Omni at $17 averaging for a total of $10,000 buy-in. Rocket Pool at 21 bucks for 10k. Renzo at 14 cents, also 10k. And Aevo 90 cents, 10k. This is going to be a fun video. Great prices. I would love to sell them at those prices. Anyways, this is the starting point, and after that moment we had two changes, which on the 19th of December I made a video that I changed my portfolio. You can see that in the thumbnail next to me. I swapped my ENS for SAI, as ENS went up quite a lot and the rest was just consolidating, so I wanted to rotate and compound my profits into, well, back in the day, profits into newer assets to compound and yield more return. So I sold my entire ENS stake, which I bought at $18 for $42, totaling $35,000. I added those 5k to TIA, 5k to Tau, and 5k to Optimism, and I've bought SAI for $20,000. So my buy-ins into the four bigger ones are $20,000 in total. That's the total, which means that I've been buying an additional stake in Optimism at $2.20, Tau at 450 bucks, TIA at $6, and SAI at 45 cents, and that's an entire stake of 20k. The final adjustment that we made is Wormhole. As you can see in the video of the 2nd of February, I've bought it in the days before, and I've bought a 10k stake into Wormhole at 22 cents. That brings the total hypothetical investment at 110k. Now, what's the current value? On Thursday evening, before Bitcoin dropped beneath 80k or went back up or dropped even further, we don't know. The current value is Optimism is at 9.8k, Tau is at $16,000. Not really a loss. TIA is 8,500, SAI is at 12k, and then Omni is at 2.6, Rocket Pool at 3.1, Renzo at 1.5, so it's down 85%, Aevo at 1.7, and Wormhole at 6.4k. That's a total of $62,100, which is a drawdown of 44%. Positive surprise. Because I know that from the previous cycles, having a drawdown of 44% isn't that much, and the upside is just gigantic. Knowing that we have this risk profile and the current market conditions, it's actually completely fine. So what's my game plan going to be? Let's talk about that. First, we need to talk about the charts. And then I think I need to start with Bitcoin, given the fact that it's not really going up. But there are some signals that are not bad, which is that altcoins in itself, normally when Bitcoin drops 30%, this is the first 30% correction that we're seeing in this cycle in a long time. Normally you would have expected altcoins to drop way more, and that's just not the case. So if we look at the chart for Bitcoin, again, this is made on Friday morning. We can see that we are in a very clear downwards trend. Tariffs are taking place, so the Nasdaq and the S&P are correcting. Gold is correcting too. That's actually a strong sign, because then the altcoins are likely going to do well. So my thesis is that if the stock markets are bouncing back up, Bitcoin is likely going to bounce back up, and I think that the altcoins are going to outperform. But as you can see, we dropped to 82,000, then rejected at the first resistance level, which is kind of normal. And then it needs to go back towards that wick to fill the liquidity, which it has been doing. It went all the way back to $78,000. And then you would like to see a very big volume candle taking place, which you can't see on Bybit, but you will see if you go to the Binance chart. So those are signals that I would like to see. And I think that given that we are having the Fear and Greed Index standing at 16, and actually yesterday it was at 10. If we go back into the maximum chart where you can see it for the last 7 years, the last time when we hit 10 was when Luna collapsed. So that tells you a lot. And if the thesis is that we're still in a bull market, then this is an ultimate opportunity to be buying the dip, expecting the markets to rotate. Now, if we look at Ether against Bitcoin for the past week, then we know that Bitcoin has been correcting by 20%. We came from 96 and went to 79, so close to 20% in just 4 days, 5 days. And Ether versus Bitcoin is flat. So that is not a bad signal. Normally, if there is some real weakness, then you would have been expecting the altcoins to fall even more. So if we look at the higher time frame charts for the altcoins that we have in our portfolio, Wormhole, Omni, and Renzo all still have a massive bullish divergence. And actually they are printing really good candles against Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin is going to rotate and finds itself a bottom, I assume that we're going to start the uptrend on the utility coins that have been crushed. Again, what has happened doesn't need to happen again. So having a contrary view is usually the best way moving forward. And that's why I think this chart on Wormhole is similar to Omni and to Renzo, is a great chart to be in and a great opportunity to accumulate your positions. Now, if we look at Psi, Psi has been going up against Bitcoin in the past 2 weeks as well. So the altcoins start to show more strength than Bitcoin, which is kind of unusual, but it's kind of similar to the previous bull cycles where Bitcoin also corrected and the altcoins at some point didn't want to continue to fall. So that's a great signal. Similarly for Optimism, which starts to run upwards. As you can see, we're still at a cycle low, but we are up close to 40% since the low, and Bitcoin has been dropping in between. So the valuation of the altcoins are flat, and therefore, since the largest capitalization volume in history, we are actually seeing more strength in the altcoins, which I think is a key to whether or not you would be investing into altcoins. If the altcoins were continuing to fall more than Bitcoin, then the thesis for a bear market would strengthen. But at this point, I think we're in the middle of a bull cycle that's going to be longer and that's going to yield a tremendous return, but over an extended period of time. So the portfolio isn't really doing well, but everything needs to be put into perspective. I've been going heavily on the risk curve with my portfolio. And then when I mean risk curve, I mean no risk or low risk is treasury bonds, extreme risk is Solana, meme coin, Fiesta, and I'm literally the group before that. So in that light, with the current market conditions, it is not bad to be just down 44% on your portfolio. So I've been doing this in the previous cycle as well, and I went down 70% during that cycle before they started to run up massively, before they were going into 10x and 100x territory. And there is always a sort of discussion of whether utility coins are going to go up and whether they are going to yield a return. Meme coins have strong communities, but utility coins have strong communities as well. Most of the coins have completely unlocked FTV, which theoretically make it the same as a meme coin, and everything is fueled by hype. So I think that it's the same principle. It just takes time and it needs confidence before it starts to run. So now with this appetite and knowing that I like to be into utility coins, you also know that I'm a huge fan of rebalancing your portfolio and compounding your returns. So we just made the numbers that I have in my portfolio, and we know that some of the coins have been going down massively. And we also know that I've rotated ENS into Psi, which has been yielding me an additional sort of flexibility. But my total portfolio is currently worth $62,000. So if in that case, my allocations are kind of out of balance. Tau is really big, but some of the smaller coins are less in terms of percentage. So I need to rotate. I need to rebalance my portfolio. And in that sense, I rotated $6,000 from Tau and $2,000 from Psi into the smaller coins, which means that I've added $2,000 into Omni, $2K into Rocket Pool, $2K into Renzo, and 2k into Aevo, which makes that during periods of maximum uncertainty, I'd like to increase my risk and not decrease my risk, because I want to maximize my return into a bull market. And when the markets are going to shoot up, that's when my risk increases, not right now. Because if I lose it now, it's fine. But during periods that my portfolio is going to be 10x or 20x from this number, the risk is going to increase substantially. So my portfolio is currently Optimism 9.8k, Tau 10k, Sai 10.5k, Tia 8.5, Omni 4.6, Rocket Pool 5.1k, Aevo 3.7k, Renzo 3.5k, and Wormel 6.4k for a total of $62,000. And of course, I'll be updating this on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'll see you again. Ciao.